It's a busy morning here in Washington, D.C. at the IMF headquarters where all the meetings, important meetings between finance ministers, central bank governors are taking place. Of course, yesterday the sovereign debt roundtable meeting was held with global finance leaders and central bankers participating. We did see that small economies in debt distress being a focus of the discussions among creditor nations, official and bilateral creditor nations, Paris Club creditor nations as well. Today we have key press conferences by the managing director of the IMF, who warns of uncertainty yet resilience, and says that many countries not retaliating to US tariffs will bolster economic growth, global growth. And later we did have IMF Asia Pacific Director Krishna Srinivasan talking about Asia's outlook, which is fastest growing, but yet vulnerabilities persist. And for Sri Lanka, he said, stay the course.
During the briefing on the global policy agenda, IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva claimed that the global economy is better than feared, however, warned that the medium-term growth prospects still remain weak due to heightened global uncertainties. The IMF urges nations to have better public safety nets as the global economy is still excessively unbalanced.
When we gathered here 6 months ago at our spring meetings, there was a lot of anxiety about the state of the global economy. Then we predicted a considerable slowdown in growth, but no recession. 6 months on, where do we stand? In a nutshell, better than feared, but worse than needed. So the question is, why has the global economy shown such resilience in the face of uncertainty and profound transformations in geopolitics? I can give you two core reasons. Since the global financial crisis, many countries, especially emerging markets, have pursued sound policies. They have strengthened their institutions. They have strengthened their frameworks. This investment is paying off, and if I may say, stay the course. Second, the adaptability of the private sector, which has shown agility in import front-loading, in supply chain strengthening, in just navigating uncertainty, is quite remarkable. But even so, the outlook we have is underwhelming. Medium-term growth prospects remain weak. Public debt is near record highs and continues to climb. And the global economy is excessively imbalanced. The forces of change are making the global economy less predictable, and it is impacting people. The largest economy in the world has chosen to use tariffs as an instrument in relations with partners. Here is the interesting fact today. The rest of the world has not followed so far. Out of 191 members of the IMF, we have seen only 3 moving more forcefully on tariffs. Of course, first the United States, China, and to a certain degree, although there have been significant adjustments, Canada. 188 countries said, thank you, but not thank you. We prefer to continue to trade on most favored nation rules. And we are encouraging countries to please do that, because unless you are very large, relatively close economy, and India is not, it's an open economy, it doesn't work well for you.
Later, the Director of Asia and Pacific Department of the IMF, Krishna Srinivasan, convened a press briefing and pointed out that policy uncertainty remains high in the region, however, expects the region's economic growth to be around 4.5% in 2025 and moderate to 4.1% in 2026.
Economic activity in the Asia-Pacific is holding up better than expected in April, despite the region bearing the brunt of US tariffs and policy uncertainty remaining high. We project the region to grow by 4.5% in 2025 and moderate to 4.1% in 2026. Inflation is expected to remain muted in most countries. The region is once again set to contribute the lion's share of global growth, about 60% both this year and in 2026. What explains this resilience? I would identify 3 key factors: strong exports, a tech boom, and accommodative macro policies reinforced by favorable financial conditions. The dust on tariffs has not yet settled. They could still increase. Similarly, risk premia and interest rates could rise again, especially if trade policy policy uncertainty or geopolitical tensions intensify. And a tightening of financial conditions could further increase debt-related vulnerabilities and stifle growth. Upgrading medium-term fiscal frameworks will be essential to prepare for future shocks and manage large long-term spending pressures. Countries also need to make growth more inclusive and resilient by rebalancing toward domestic demand through stronger social safety nets and, where needed, balance sheet repair. Concerted efforts to pursue reforms to boost trade and investment will help fuel durable growth for years to come. Our analysis in the forthcoming Rio, to be launched in Hong Kong next week, shows that deeper regional integration could yield sizable gains. Countries can cut non-tariff barriers, broaden and modernize trade agreements to cover services and digital trade, and ease FDI restrictions.
I am from Derana. I'm in Divari. There's ongoing debate in Sri Lanka about balancing fiscal consolidation with the need to protect growth and livelihoods while resolving the current debt distress as we approach 2028 debt servicing after the moratorium in 2022. So what's your advice here? And also, despite Asia Pacific remaining the fastest growing region, world economic outlook shows uneven recovery between advanced economies and smaller emerging markets. Do you see signs of similar vulnerabilities in other parts of the region? And also, the Sri Lankan economy, there was a distinct case. So what has the IMF learnt there and will implement in smaller economies and frontier markets like Sri Lanka?
In Diwari, I think the point I would make is, Sri Lanka has come a long way from where it was a few years ago. And so the advice we would say is stay the course. You've done the difficult part, continue with the reforms, and you'll see the benefits. You're already seeing the benefits, you'll continue to see more benefits. Thomas, you want to take those questions?
After deep recession during the crisis, Sri Lanka has now implemented a program, a homegrown reform program, and now benefits from very strong growth. 5% last year, we estimate 4.2% this year, and the next year sort of going towards potential of 3%. So the key advice at this point is really continue with program implementation, the full benefits of the program, and then growth will come and continue. For Sri Lanka, what is important is to continue on the way to stabilization, make sure that the institutional and other factors for macroeconomic stability are given. Fiscal consolidation plays a key role, and also ensuring viability of state-owned enterprises to mitigate or lower contingent risks to the budget will be key for these benefits to continue.